Good morning. This is Jeannie from Trendy. Now, let me just give you a disclaimer right up front. This video doesn't have anything to do with Trendy other than that's our channel that, we post things to. I'm not showing any products or anything. I was just going to take a few minutes to show you how to fix turnip greens. Now, turnip greens is not something that probably everybody in the world loves. If you're from the South, you probably do. We all grew up on turnip greens and cornbread. So my dear friend Betty gave me these turnip greens, and I'm going to show you how to fix them. The first, I'm doing it outside just because it will kind of smell up the house, and I have my outdoor kitchen, so I'm doing it out here. So I just have my big pan, and I filled it up with about half full of water, and it does need some salt in it, so that's just going to be salty water. And I'm just getting that hot. These have to cook a while. They have to cook down kind of tender. And so what I'm doing right now is just preparing the greens. So what you want to do is pinch off any of the large stems, and you just want the little tender leaf part. So a piece like that is fine. You don't have to pinch that off. That's perfect. They do have to be washed several times, so I'm throwing them in the sink, and I'll show you how I wash those. But if they're like a little bitty leaf like that, that's perfect. If they're very big, you want to pinch off those stems and just get the tender part. If there's any that are just super big, I'm just going to bypass those and pick out the smaller leaves. It does take quite a few. And if you hear noise in the background, that is Boomer, our dog, and he's over there playing with something. And if you hear other noises like a chainsaw, that is my husband out in the yard trimming up a tree that's down for firewood. We have an outdoor fireplace here on the back porch, and we love having a fire. But now, let's face it, we're both retirement age. I told him to just buy a load of firewood from somebody, but no, he is out there cutting some firewood. So we'll have some firewood for the fireplace. But I'm just going to pinch off a stem like this. I'll pinch off this part, and we're just going to use the leaf. So I'm going to continue picking through the turnip greens, and as soon as I get these all picked off and in the sink, I'll come right back. Okay, I've got all my turnip greens picked off, got those big stems picked off, and I'm running some warm water. You have to wash turnip greens at least 3 times, change the water 3 times to get, to make sure that they're clean. Now, if you buy them at a farmer's market or at the grocery store, loose like this or in a bundle, they have not been washed. Now, if you find some that's in a sealed plastic bag, just check it. It may say washed and ready to eat. But if you pick them up at a farmer's market or someone gives them to you, they have not been washed. And you just really have to really get in there and wash them good, because there's nothing worse than eating turnip greens and have some grit, and you certainly want to make sure you don't have any bugs or anything like that. So I'm going to wash these real good, and I'm using warm water. You can use cold water, but warm just makes it easier on your hands to me. But I'm going to wash them, drain that water out, and I'm going to do that at least 3 times. That's 2 times. I just like one more, and then we'll put them in the pot. Just drain that water out. If you see any debris, of course, you want to get that out. Okay? I'm going to do it one more time. No soap. Now, you have to season turnip greens, of course, with salt, but you also have to use something like my mother and grandmother always used a piece of fat back. Now, you can buy fat back in the grocery store, of course, we can around here, and all that is, it's just a big old chunk of pork fat, and that will season your turnip greens. But now, it's very salty, so keep that in mind, before you season your turnip greens with too much salt. Now, I'm not going to use fat back. I like to use like thin sliced bacon. And I'll put some of that in the pot and let it all cook at the same time. But just really take your hands and just really wash those turnip greens around. It doesn't matter, if you're bending the leaves or tearing them up, because they're going to cook down tender anyway. It's not like, being careful when you're tearing off lettuce and not crushing it up. It's okay if you do that with the turnip greens. And you can do collard greens the same way. It's just a different variety of green. Okay? Alright, so we're going to drain that. And we're going to just put these in our pot of boiling water. Let's see. There's my pot. Okay, now we're just going to put the lid on that and let that come to a boil. And after it comes to a boil, we'll cut it down low and just let them cook till they're tender. Now, I probably have more. I filled my pot up about half full with water. That's going to be too much when they start cooking down. But what we'll do is drain some of that water off as they get close to being cooked down and tender. So right now, I have to get my thick sliced bacon to put in there. Well, I was going to put some thick sliced bacon, but I found some leftover, it's either Boston butt or some kind of pork roast in the freezer. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to go ahead and put those pieces in there. That's just some leftovers. I'm putting a lot because I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this whole bag. But if I was doing like thick sliced bacon, I'd put about 6 slices. That saved us a trip to the store too. All right, so we'll let that come to a boil and then we'll turn it down and let it cook low. Okay, these are boiling great, so I'm just going to turn the heat down, put the lid on, and let them simmer until they cook down and get tender. And when they cook down, I'll show you what they look like when they cook down. They're not a pretty, turnip greens are not a pretty food, I guess. Like I say, that's why it's an acquired taste. But I'll cook them down and then I'll show you what they look like when they're done. Of course, if you're having turnip greens for dinner, then you have to have cornbread and maybe cream style corn, fried potatoes or stewed potatoes, and maybe some fried chicken. So I'll have to see what Carrie and David's doing tonight and see if they want to come eat supper. Okay? I'll come back a little later. Okay, this is what they look like after they've been cooking for about an hour. And they're done. And let me get some close up where you can see it. And like I say, you'll either like them or you won't. I'm gonna let them simmer. Of course, the meat that I put in there was already cooked. It was just frozen, so I used that for flavoring. And I'm gonna let them cook a little longer, just kind of simmer till some more of that juice cooks down. And then they'll be ready to go. Just season to taste with some salt. And there you go, turnip greens. Hey, Browser. Hey. Hey, Browser. Can you sit for me? Well, you're sitting, aren't you? Okay. Can you come say hello? Hey, Browser. Wanna come be on the video? Okay. Well, Browser's our new dog. He's a puppy. He's about 10 weeks old. And he keeps us busy.